Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Game of Fear, a fearless novel by Gledé, Browne, Kabongo, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue, I'll Never Tell. 2 years earlier. They were going to kick me out. That's what the meeting was about. The last piece of my lousy existence was about to crumple like a paper doll. 2 weeks ago, Dad called a family meeting and announced that he would resign as Chief Financial Officer of Orpheon, a multi-billion-dollar global technology company. He would have been CEO in a year. This crisis was a greedy little monster that couldn't be satisfied. The sensational and relentless media coverage, the sly, not-so-kind comments from classmates, and the possibility that Mom was facing life in prison were enough to make me want to crawl into a rabbit hole and never come out. I pulled my shoulders back, stuck my chin out, and put on my game face. The door opened on the first knock. When I entered the office, my guidance counselor, Ms. Morris, and the school psychologist, Dr. Burns, were already seated. Our headmaster, Dr. Stephen Kellogg, gestured for me to take the empty chair. He sat behind his desk, cleared his throat, and adjusted his glasses. A bunch of documents was spread out before him. "None of us wants to see you in here," he began. "You've been an exemplary student in every way, and we're all proud of your accomplishments." I waited for the proverbial shoe to drop. Their solemn faces made my stomach heave. "Dr. Kellogg is right," my guidance counselor said. "We understand you're facing difficult circumstances. It's our job to help you stay on track. This meeting is about your support system here at school." "I appreciate the support, Ms. Morris, but I've already met with everyone in this room and the school chaplain." Dr. Kellogg cleared his throat again and picked up one of the papers in front of him. "We're concerned about your academic performance as of late," he said, scanning the paper. "You're well aware of our high standards here. Our reputation is built on it. You're part of it. We think it's best to take action now before it's too late." I blinked a couple of times. "You mean before you have to expel me?" Dr. Burns stared straight ahead, and Ms. Morris opened her mouth to speak. Nothing came out. She just looked like a fish on dry land, gasping for air. "Goodness, no." Dr. Kellogg gave off a forced laugh and adjusted his tie. "We want to formulate a plan to get you through these tough times." Dr. Burns spoke for the first time. "Processing your emotions and having the proper tools in place is critical. A parent incarcerated, awaiting trial, and an uncertain future ahead is a lot for a young person to handle. We're here to help you cope successfully within the walls of St. Matthew's and beyond." I sat ramrod straight in my chair. My anger bubbled over. "My mother didn't kill that man. She was set up and doesn't deserve to be in jail. We'll prove it. When we do, she'll come home where she belongs." I saw the doubt in their eyes, the challenge to my statement. I could practically read their thoughts. Poor delusional kid. "Your teachers say you've been unfocused and withdrawn," Ms. Morris continued. "They tell me you've given up. It's our responsibility to make certain you don't fall any further behind. You're one of the best students we have. We don't want to see you lose your edge. I'm sure your parents would agree." I smoothed out my skirt as I struggled to hold back the tears. They were right. I couldn't allow school to fall apart too along with the rest of my life. If I didn't get myself together, Mom would be heartbroken. Dr. Kellogg handed me a box of tissue from his desk. I placed it on my lap without using a single sheet. "We can talk right now if you need to," Dr. Burns offered. Dr. Kellogg and Ms. Morris took the hint and left the room. I turned to Dr. Burns. "May I have a few minutes alone, please? We'll chat, I promise." When he left, I took deep breaths to wash away the humiliation threatening to strangle me. I couldn't make excuses anymore. The time had come to take drastic measures. I searched my bag for the piece of paper I'd carried around for weeks. The phone number of a classmate with an easygoing disposition and a reputation as the guy who could make your troubles go away. I fished out my phone and dialed the number. He answered on the first ring. "Need your help," I said. "I am surprised to hear from you, but I understand why you called." "Good. I don't want to go to the pit. Someone might see me." "You won't have to. I can hook you up." "How much?" "As much as you can get." "Whoa. Are you sure about that?" "Yes. I lost a lot of ground. It's time to make up for it." "I can get you a discount, but it's still going to cost." "Just do it." "At your service, mademoiselle." "And one more thing." "Yes?" "This stays between us forever." "I'll never tell." Part 1. The Good Girl. Chapter 1. I attract trouble like a magnet, despite my best intentions. Perhaps it's because I attend St. Matthew's Academy, where the pressure is overwhelming, the secrets are dirty, and the games are wicked. But I don't let it get to me. My path to becoming one of the world's top neurosurgeons is already mapped out. Princeton for college, then off to Harvard or Stanford for medical school. I'll complete my internship and residency at the Mayo Clinic and Massachusetts General Hospital. My life is orderly, focused, and predictable, the way I like it. But some people have other ideas. "What's up, Abby?" he asks, making sexually suggestive motions with the lollipop in his mouth. I'm talking about Christian Wheeler, the resident bad boy. For the past few weeks, since school started in September, he's been appearing at my locker every morning, asking me out like it's his new religion. I roll my eyes at him, and then turn my attention to swapping the books I need for my first period class. A couple of sophomore girls pass by and giggle as their friend tries to flirt with him. The lollipop comes out of his mouth, and he pushes a blonde lock of hair away from his eyes, a luminous shade of Spanish blue that's so hypnotic I've heard girls faint when they look at him too long. Whatever. You're so gross, I say, hostility rolling off me in waves. Isn't there some poor girl on this campus waiting to get dumped by you? Oh, wait, I don't think there's anyone left. You've been with every girl at St. Matthew's. Man whore. I glare at him. Since we never hooked up, does that mean you're not a girl? I flip him the bird, but it doesn't faze him. He makes obnoxious kissing noises with his lips. That ice princess thing you do is all an act, isn't it? I know you want me. No thanks. I have standards and an aversion to STDs. Ouch. Watch where you point that thing you call a tongue. Somebody could get hurt. I snort in disgust and stuff a couple of books in my backpack. Why are you all over me, Christian? I'm not interested in joining your fan club. Get lost. I'm an enlightened man. Christian turned 18 over the summer and thinks that makes him a man. You're still a boy. Let's not get it twisted. I should get points for bravery. Every guy at this school is afraid to ask you out. I'm fresh out of brownie points. Besides, you don't want to date me. Why not? If you stopped hiding your, considerable assets, he says, ogling me, you'd be a total babe. I find that statement deeply offensive. The corners of his mouth turn up into a smile, revealing perfectly even white teeth. I can't help it, so I grin too. I zip up my backpack and sling it over my shoulders. I'm about to close my locker, but my hand stops in midair. I see Sydney Bailey Shepherd sauntering toward us, elbowing people out of her way. Her eyes laser in on Christian like a lioness about to pounce on its prey. Sydney is a fellow senior, but that's where our similarities end. She plants herself in front of Christian and tosses her hair back, the long auburn locks coming to rest in a perfect cascade past her shoulders. I've seen her do this 1,000,000 times. Her come hither ritual. She hands him a brown paper bag. You forgot this. I know it's your favorite belt. Christian's eyes bug out of his head. He doesn't take the bag, so Sydney shoves it into his hands. Oh, my bad. I didn't know we were keeping it a secret, us getting back together. You won't tell anyone, will you, Abby? She gives me what's meant to be a conspiring wink, but it comes off as fake as her surgically enhanced nose. I give them both a dirty stare. I'm sure they can see the daggers aimed at them. Then Sydney melts into the crowd of kids on their way to first period, as if she wasn't just standing here staking claim to her territory. I'm steaming mad. Sydney's lying, he begins. I don't care. I want to get away from him as fast as possible. I'm about to close my locker when something catches my attention. My psychology textbook at the far right corner of the top shelf with a glossy ivory-colored paper sticking out of it. I remove the paper from the book haphazardly, place it in the side pocket of my bag, and shut the locker. I join the hallway crowd, bobbing and weaving my way to a meeting with my STEM, science, technology, engineering, math advisor. I want to distract myself from my anger at Christian. How dare he think he can play me? Not that I would have accepted a date with him, but it's the principle of the thing. Asking me out when he's still hooking up with Sydney? Ew. Someone crashes into me and makes a quick apology. My backpack almost slips from my shoulders, but I grab it in time. That's my cue to retrieve the paper before it falls out of the side pocket. Christian catches up to me. You don't have to keep showing up at my locker pretending to be interested, I tell him. I don't even care what your motive is. Just stop it. I swear, Sydney's lying. I would never do anything that shady to you. I shake my head, peeved by his lame attempt at honesty. I open the paper, a standard 8.5 by 11. What I see written on it stops me cold. Chapter 2. I know what you did, hypocrite. Justice will be served. The Avenger. Someone has a sick sense of humor. Is it that witch Sydney stirring up trouble? But how did she get into my locker? How did she figure out the combination? My hands are shaky when I unzip my bag and drop the note inside. Christian taps me on the shoulder. His face is bursting with worry. What is it, Abby? What's wrong? Nothing, I mumble. I don't want to be late for my meeting with Ms. Lyons. I increase my pace in a frantic effort to escape his prying eyes and questions. He won't be deterred. He keeps up with me. Ms. Lyons can wait. Who sent you that paper? What does it say? It's not a big deal. It is a big deal. You froze in your tracks when you read it. Stop making a thing out of it, I say, irritated. Okay, why are you flipping out then? Can you please drop this? I ask, scowling at him. Don't say anything to anyone. So now you want me to do you favors? He asks, stroking his chin like some evil cartoon villain. Fine, I won't tell if you go out on a date with me. A real date. I stare at him, slack-jawed. Why the urgency for a date? What is he up to? I'm not desperate enough to go out with you. I make sure my tone is dripping with contempt, sharp enough to cause bodily harm. It's been amusing for the past few weeks, stalking me daily. Now the fun is over. Move on to someone else. He remains stubborn. If you want me to keep quiet about what you found in your locker, go out with me. Those are my terms. Otherwise, I'll start spreading vicious rumors about what's in the note. You're a total scumbag, and I hate you. He taps the face of his watch. Need an answer by 3 p.m. Then he disappears into the crowd of kids, leaving me to untangle a giant ball of confusion. I make it through my morning classes, distracted the whole time. I keep thinking about the message, looking for clues in the tone, the word choices, something that would point to the kind of person who would do this. Obviously, a psycho. The text is typewritten. There's nothing special about the font. The note could have been printed from any computer. I push the thoughts aside. There's a simple explanation. Wrong locker. I feel terrible for the intended victim. My stomach growls as I enter the dining hall, already buzzing with gossip, socializing, and students making their way through the lunch lines. Hardwood floors, wooden tables, and chairs enhance the dining ambiance. Portraits of famous alumni and hunting trophies are mounted on the walls, testaments to the rich and illustrious history of St. Matthew's. One of my best friends is waving to me. Our group, nicknamed the Rainbow Posse because of our diverse ethnic backgrounds, is one member short this year. Anastasia Cruz, our sidekick from Colombia, returned home after her parents were kidnapped and brutally murdered, a crime rumored to be politically motivated. She made the move to Madrid and now lives with her soccer superstar brother and his wife. Now our trio is made up of Callie Fury, a free-spirited California girl my mom says reminds her of a young Elizabeth Taylor, and Frances Lynn, a tell-it-like-it-is Jersey girl and future Pulitzer Prize winner. I drop my bag on the floor next to the seat saved for me and sit. My friends started lunch without me. Nice earrings. Are they new? I ask Frances. She fiddles with the gorgeous diamond-accented rosebud earrings on her left earlobe and gushes. Trevor spoils me. He bought them for our 6-month anniversary. Is it love? I ask. Maybe. You're not sure? She scoffs. We don't need to put labels on our relationship, Abby. We're so past that. Trevor Forrester is a fellow senior from Philadelphia. His dad founded Forrester International, one of the largest advertising firms in the country. His mother, Grace, is a well-connected socialite. In spite of his pedigree, Trevor is not a snob like most of the kids at our school. He's an all-around good guy whom everyone likes. I head to the lunch line to grab some food. When I return to our table, the interrogation begins. What's up with you and Christian Wheeler? Frances asks. My brain seizes for a moment. I wasn't expecting the question since I've told the girls about Christian's habit of asking me out every single day of the school week. It's a running gag, but right now I have no idea what she's talking about. The usual. I don't think so. Callie starts fanning herself with a napkin. I would pay to see him naked. I'm sure he'll show you for free, I say, giggling. Callie glows like the matter's been settled, then digs into her soup. Frances isn't about to let the issue drop. He's staring at you. I see drool coming out of the side of his mouth. How am I supposed to know what's going on with him? It's not like we're BFFs. I don't want to look in Christian's direction, but some invisible force compels me to. Major mistake. He points to his watch, then smacks his lips. My cheeks burn with embarrassment. When I turn my attention back to our table, inquisitive eyes gaze at me. Breaking news, Frances announces using her fork as a microphone. Hell has just frozen over. Abby Cooper has the hots for Christian Wheeler. I do not. My denial is quick. The last thing I need is for Frances to make a big deal out of nothing. You can be honest with us, Callie says, trying to coax the so-called truth out of me. Will you two stop it? Christian is being Christian. He likes playing games, and I let him because I find his antics amusing. Get a grip, people. I roll my eyes for dramatic effect. The girls aren't convinced. He's still looking over here, Frances says, waving to Christian, who has the nerve to wave back. What happened this morning? I weigh the pros and cons of telling my girls about the incident with Sydney and the note. I don't want to worry them, especially since the likelihood that I received it in error is high. We've been a tight-knit group since we met as wide-eyed 14-year-olds our freshman year and have seen each other through some tough times. It's Callie's turn. Her parents' pending divorce has been tabloid fodder for the past few months. Our friendship has been her refuge. I fill them in on my run-in with Sydney and the reason Christian keeps staring at me from his lunch table. I'm not even sure this is his usual lunch period. He probably showed up just to bait me. Whoa, Callie says. Do you still have the note? I reach for my bag and then pull out the note. I flatten it on the table. Frances and Callie lean in to read it. They have identical frowns on their faces. Callie picks it up, reads it again, then hands it back to me. I think someone stuck it in the wrong locker, I explain. I don't know how they got past the combination. They couldn't have pushed it through the vents because I found the note sticking out of my psych textbook. You should file a complaint, Frances says. Someone violated your privacy by opening your locker. That's huge. I don't have any proof. Unless there's a witness willing to come forward, we have nothing. You're right, Frances says. I forgot about the no ratting policy. You could get the death penalty for violating that code. We can still ask around discreetly. You're the reporter, Callie says. Find out if anyone's been lurking around Abby's locker. We might already know who left the note, I point out. You just said it was the wrong locker, Callie reminds me. Sydney, you know she hates me. Throw in the Christian factor and that's her way of telling me to back off. Is she crazy enough to write a note like that? She isn't, right? Callie shrugs and stuffs a piece of fruit in her mouth. Frances isn't so nonchalant. She rakes her fingers through her hair and won't look at me. You know something, I say. She gestures for us to lean in closer as if she's about to reveal state secrets. This is off the record. I promised my source I wouldn't say a word to anyone, but since you received this anonymous message, I should tell you. Frances ramps up her dramatic tone as she launches into the story. Remember that accident last winter, the one that put Willa Schofield in a wheelchair? Someone ran a stop sign and plowed into her. It was horrible, I say, shivering at the memory. Willa and I had creative writing together, and I tutored her in pre-calculus. My source says Sydney caused that accident. She was totally wasted, missed the sign, and almost killed Willa. Shut up, Callie says. No way! The revelation stuns me. Frances carries on. Her parents paid a lot of money to the Schofields to keep it quiet. A lot. When your daddy is a former White House chief of staff, you can get away with anything. My source also said it's not the first time her parents bailed her out of serious trouble. That girl is a walking disaster, I say. She shouldn't be left alone with sharp objects or cars, apparently. Frances takes a sip of her drink and then places the glass on the table. She's capable of sending you that note. Probably got one of her minions to do it. She's jealous that Christian keeps asking you out. The entire school knows her only goal in life is to become Mrs. Christian Wheeler. I mean, where are her self-esteem and ambition? You should go for it with Christian, Kelly says, her eyes full of mischief, because he's into you and it would piss Sydney off. And because you need to do something crazy before we graduate. Frances agrees. Yeah, Abby, live a little. Says the girl whose idea of acting crazy was burning her sister's fan letter from Tom Cruise. Frances's older sister Penny is a world-renowned concert pianist, and they've involved in a serious case of sibling rivalry. Penny had it coming. She's still mad months later, so I got her beat on that round. I shake my head. I can't date Christian. Callie folds her arms and leans back in her chair. Why not? I tick off a list of Christian's transgressions, counting them on my fingers. There's too much drama with the whole Sydney thing. He has a horrible reputation when it comes to girls, and he was kicked out of 2 other boarding schools for bad behavior. You know, the stuff that makes Christian who he is. Sounds to me like your chicken, Callie says. Frances sighs dramatically. I know what this is about. It's time to let go, Abby. What do you mean? Ty. He's in college now, and you're in the friend zone. This has nothing to do with Ty. I don't want to be one of Christian's girls. Callie starts clucking like a chicken and flapping her arms. I'm not afraid. I like things a certain way. Christian is a hot mess. I have an idea, Frances says. Come to the party. If he's still chasing you, then you have to go out with him. At least once. I glance at her puzzled. What party? Evan Mueller's senior year kickoff bash at his parents' house in Wellesley. Callie answers. You have to come. I don't know, I say, eyeing the lunch I haven't touched since I sat down. The fries are soggy, and the meat in my burger looks like something that died on the side of the road. I stick a fork in my garden salad and start eating. I'll have to think about it. Plus, I wasn't invited. Frances pulls her phone from her purse and presses a few buttons. Check your email. I reach for my phone in my bag. I open the email from her and see the evite. Evan won't mind? He asked me to invite you. He knows we're friends, Frances says.